everybody, welcome back to Cottoverdi. My name's Annette and today I've got a couple of little mini projects. Most of them revolve around the grass border that we planted up last weekend. I've got some additions to make to that border, so I'm going to steal some plants from other places and plant them in that border. It's quite breezy today, so I really hope you can hear me. If you can't, what I'll do is I will record the video and then talk over it as I'm editing because it is so windy. I think we're going to get a lot of rain tomorrow. So this big hole here is where we dug the cornice out, the dogwood, and over here is an eryngium, a blue thistle, and there's another one that's self-seeded over here, and I want to dig those out and pop them into the grass border. Over here we also, right next to the peony over here, there are some suckers from the dogwood, the cornice, and so we need to get these out. They're going to start, I don't want them to grow basically, we need to dig the roots out and make sure that they don't grow anymore. So we're back up at the grass border that we planted all my new plants the other weekend. What we're doing today is we're putting plants in that we've stolen from other places. So I'm going to put the names up on the screen and some pictures of what they look like. But the things that I'm planting today are, I'm planting some Astrantia that we took from the patio bed, and I believe this is Astrantia Roma. I'm not 100% sure. I'm only really going to be able to tell when it flowers, but from memory that's the right colour. I'm also putting in some Echinacea that we've taken from another very crowded border where it wasn't doing well, and I think it's going to look lovely here. We're also planting some sea holly, some eryngium that we've taken from the top border because the whole top border is being revamped in the very near future. That was the first bed that I planted and I just wanted some colour in the garden, so I just threw a whole load of stuff in there without really planning it because I just wanted something other than weeds, but it's come back to bite me now and I'm having to move a lot of things. So we're going to take the sea holly from that bed and put it in this bed, and then I also have some other grasses that I've been growing on in my nursery, and it's about time those were divided and planted in this grass bed. So you can see that I've been dreaming about this grass border for a long time because I had the grasses in my nursery for a couple of years. Anyway, so we're going to plant those grasses as well, and as I said, I'll put names and pictures up on the screen so that you can see what they are. The other thing that I'm going to do today is to cut down the miscanthus, which is a really good job for March. Before all the new shoots start, just with miscanthus you can cut it down to the ground. Just going to do that to all 3 of my miscanthus. With a steeper you don't want to cut it back, but if we run our hands or a fork or something through it, we can take off any of the, or some of the dead broken branches like this. So definitely with steepers, don't cut them back, just break through them. The other thing that I'm going to do today is I'm going to do something I've never done before in this garden, and that is I am going to direct sow something. So the seed that I'm sowing today direct into this flower bed is Dara, which is a wild carrot, and I just think that it will look really nice in this bed. It's going to look a little bit I don't know, the umbellifers, the red umbellifers I think are going to go really nicely with everything. So I'm really hoping that this seed does germinate, and we'll see. It's an experiment. As I said, I've never direct seeded before, mostly because we have cats and also just because it's never really been convenient for me. But I think now that this bed is so well prepped and weeded, and hopefully I can keep the cats off it, I'm going to try direct seeding the Dara today, and let's see what happens. So to sow my Dara, what I'm doing is I'm just going to let's get rid of the stones. I'm just going to make a little drill like this, and we just sprinkle it on the soil surface and then cover it with a little bit of soil. Now obviously it's best to do this in the autumn, so I'm going to sow quite heavily, because first of all my seeds are from 2022, but secondly I'm not sure how many will come up. And if I sow them in a straight line, hopefully Richard will realise that these are not weeds and they won't get weeded. So I've sown really heavily. If we're doing this in the autumn and you have fresh seeds, then I definitely don't think that we need to sow them that heavily. And then I'm just going to cover them a little bit like this. And then we'll water them in when we water everything else that's been planted today. Let's get the weed root out. That should be fine. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to sprinkle some vermiculite on, and I'm doing this for the simple reason that I feel if I sprinkle vermiculite on here, Richard can really easily see where they are. And also when I come back in a month or two and we see things growing here, I'll be able to go, oh yeah, look, there's vermiculite, so I know that that was Dara. Also, by doing it this way, when we mulch this border, it'll be really easy to figure out where we should not be mulching. And I'm going to do that in 2 spots, I think. On the edge of the grass border over here, this is a hydrangea Annabelle that we moved last year. It hasn't taken particularly well actually, but what I'm going to do is prune it back in the hope that this year we'll get some better blooms. So all I'm going to do to prune this back is take it back to a nice bud. So I've got some good buds here. I've actually got some good buds here, but with Annabelle you can cut quite low. This is dead, so I'm just going to take that bit out, and there is some more there. And then there's another branch of it here, so I'm just going to cut it back. I think some of them are more dead than others. And I'm just taking off the really spindly bits, we don't want those. This is a Cineraria called Silver Dust, and in all honesty it probably needs moving. It's quite close to the Annabelle, but for now what I'm going to do is just cut it back because it looks really messy, and as long as we don't cut it back too far it will resprout. I don't know why this makes me so happy, just to be planting up a new bed and just dreaming about what it's going to look like and how it's going to grow over the years, but it really fills me with so much joy to finally be feeling like there's some substance in the garden and it's got a plan and there are themes, and yeah, it just makes me really happy. Now that we've finished planting up this whole back area here, we're just going to give everything a light sprinkling of water because it's going to rain all day tomorrow, so we don't want to overwater, but I do want to settle everything in, make sure that all the roots have got good contact with the soil. That's a good reason to water things in even if it's going to rain, just to make sure that around the root itself all the soil, with the help of the water, it will just touch all the roots. So that's why we're going to water everything in, and then we're going to put a really good layer of mulch on. It's important when mulching not to put a centimetre or an inch of mulch. You need to put maybe, you know, 3 or 4 inches of mulch on top, and then the worms and nature does its thing, and that mulch will just become part of your soil. And I think that's why we have a fairly good soil in a lot of places. It's still very pebbly in places that haven't been mulched or had any compost. If there hasn't been a lot of planting in it, there hasn't been any additional compost, and so it's really rocky and pebbly, and actually we have very heavy clay soil deep down. So I think it is because of our mulching, our consistent mulching, that we have better soil in some areas. And we are very consistent with our mulching, so we will always mulch once we planted something. And you know, we mulch our roses and trees and shrubs in the winter. So mulch, I think, is very underrated but very important. So I really hope you've enjoyed watching us potter around in this border today. Maybe it's inspired you to plant a few new plants or create a grass border yourselves. If you have enjoyed this video, please do give it a like, because it really helps me. And if you haven't subscribed and you'd like to see how this border looks in the future, then do subscribe to my channel, because I'll definitely be filming that and many other things in our garden. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.